decapitate, then off your fucking head.
What's up, bro?
What's happening, man?
Hey, man, nothing, man. It's another beautiful day when we back at it. You know, just gonna go ahead and open the show up, bro. My name is Malcolm Yates.
And my name is Andrew Nelson.
And we are The Narrative. And before we get started, we're going live today on CMP Radio, man. So please like, subscribe, share this, man. Chime in. We're going to be taking your questions live. Yep. We're going to be answering whatever you got in your comments. So we're here with y'all today, man. So what we got today, bro?
Man, today we going to talk a little bit more about what's going on in the community and in the culture.
Yeah.
You know, it's a lot of hot topics going on.
Yeah.
Couple controversial ones. So I think we might as well, you know, embrace it head on in true form.
Yeah. You know, one of the biggest things that I wanted to discuss, man, and people were sleeping on it a little bit, but that movie that came out.
Which one? Who Cloned Tyrone?
Yeah, yo.
Yeah.
That movie, when it started, I was like, you know what I'm saying? But then like my third eye opened.
Right.
And then my radar went off.
Right.
And I was like, oh, this movie deep.
Right.
Like this movie is something. It's really like putting things in our face.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I thought Jamie Foxx did a hell of a job, man.
Shout out to Jamie Foxx. Jay Fox, man. He absolutely gave a great show for us. I would say that to be honest with you, because I don't want to, you know, I don't really like boosting it, right?
Okay.
I'm going to be honest. The movie, as far as entertainment-wise, I'm going to say it was about mid, right?
Okay.
I have nothing bad to say about it, but it was not an amazing movie. But what it was, I think it was important messaging. So when you said your third eye opened, that connected.
Yeah.
Right? Because so I was watching it, and I remember thinking to myself, I'm like, all right, this is a little bit cheesy when Yo-Yo, he said, what did he say? You know why I call you Yo-Yo? Because you just keep coming back.
You keep coming back. That part was pretty good.
That was pretty good. But when Yo-Yo was talking and she was like, everybody know cryptocurrency a bubble, but Bitcoin is the future. Well, that's when my antennas came out, and I was like, dude.
Yep.
I said, oh.
Yep.
Hold on. Yep. I said, okay, so this is one of them where they're going to drop these little nuggets.
These nuggets.
Straighter is greater. Right. Young blood.
Yo, right. And you know what I kind of looked at it as, right? When we start looking at record companies and entertainment, they like to fund and fuel the shenanigans, right? Yes. They like to fund and fuel the, lack of better words, niggotry, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So I thought inside of them boosting the niggotry,
right,
they was hiding the messages in there.
For sure.
For those who
could pay attention.
Who can pay attention.
I got that new ruckus. Got that new ruckus.
Right.
And I saw it in the beginning when they were selling the CDs. And then when they was in the club.
For real.
The music is controlling the mind.
And I was like, oh, so they want to, what they're going to do is they're going to feed us through this while putting a smoke screen over everybody else, thinking it's a pimp movie and drug dealers and all that other stuff. Right. And I was like, wow. So as they started to get into the movie, and I started to really look at like who they are cloning and why did they pick those people to clone. Right. Those people who are significantly damaging to our hood.
Right.
And I started to look at it like, well, wow, you know, those are the most influential people in the neighborhoods. Right. So we keep them constantly and steady in the neighborhood.
Rotation. Right. We'll keep it quiet and under control.
Exactly. We'll keep the status quo. We'll keep people start to, you know, follow after them, right? And they'll be the influencers like they are in the neighborhood. And
the gentleman that had control, let's call him the handler, right? The handler made some reference of, he said, this experiment, this is the only thing that keeps the glue together.
Word.
Right?
Word.
He gave the game.
Word.
Right? And so you got a drug dealer, you got a pimp, and you got a hoe. And they were saying, oh, man, this is... What was in the Glen? They just cloned everybody in the Glen, and then she was like, "No, not everybody, just a few people,
just a few,
over and over and over again." But hold on, so let's rewind back because I wanna hit a couple of the key points. So the first thing was that I noticed that stood out to me was the music, where he said, "I got that ruckus," and when they was in the club and he put on the song, and then at that point he had everybody under control. They was like almost hypnotized. I want to make that parallel to what we see happening in the world today with the 808 drums.
Ooh.
Right?
Okay.
On how that music, it puts you in a trance.
It does.
And it puts you in a position where you're like in this perpetual cycle of negativity. Right? It's the reason why Future and all of the toxicity that we have in the culture all have this same sound. Right?
Yeah.
And then so now take that parallel what we see going on in the day, and then let's take a reference from from the theological text, right?
Okay.
Satan, the adversary, Shaitan, whatever you want to call that energy, that negative energy that was cast out, that energy that says, I want to be the top, I want to be the king, right?
Yeah.
The Most High designed that spirit to be with all of the different pipes and organs, right? And it was the morning sun or something like that, son of the morning. Yeah. And that spirit played music.
That's what I'm saying. He was the angel of music.
The angel of music.
Right.
Right? The most beautiful creation until us.
Wow.
Right? All of the celestial beings, right, marveled at the beauty of Lucifer.
That's right.
And the music that Lucifer created.
That's right.
And it was that response of the people that made them say, well, look, these people here for me, not understanding that the Most High created me and gave me that. But now take that same perverted spirit that keeps you captivated in the music, and then fast forward today, and that's what they highlight. And I got that right. It's the reason why they call that music ruckus.
Ruckus.
So that was the first one,
and it's real talk, man, because the music programs us, right? We are a tribalistic folk, right? And we respond to the drums, right? We respond to the 808s, absolutely, right? And you hide messages within those drums, right? You start to shape the mind of an entire people.
Listen, this was the very drums that before war, it put the fear of God inside of the enemy so that you could win the battle before it started, right? It's the same drums that slavery was combated against through getting people amped up that says like, all right, look, tonight is the night that we're going to leave and we're going to rebel.
That's right.
These are the same drums that they ended up banning because they understood its power.
That's how
and then
we
somewhere
spoke to
along
one
the
another.
line,
that's right.
when somebody's, they listening. Love to Who Cloned Tyrone. Somewhere along the line, we reached a point where those drums got reincorporated back into society, but now instead of us understanding the knowledge and the wisdom of it, it's being used against us. And it's been right in front of our face because Nikola Tesla said, if you want to understand the universe, think in terms of sound, vibration, and frequency.
And it goes back to what we talked about before. And I'm going to write this book. The book is going to be called, again, C. Dolores Tucker, You Were Right. Because she, again, was trying to save us from this music.
She sure was.
She was
right. We talked about that. At the when they petitioned in front of Congress.
Exactly.
Yes,
she won a petition in Congress to try to censor and try to make sure there was guardrails on our music. And unfortunately, we fought against her, right? And as a 12-year-old, 13-year-old kid at the time, I was against it because I didn't know any better. But as you were, what they say, when you're a child, you think of you do childish things, and as you're an adult, as a man, you start to see.
That's a fact.
And I saw, now I'm seeing that, right? I'm seeing how the messaging in our music continues to drive our culture. And when they, in the movie, you see how they were using that to program whether it's going to go to war or whether they want peace.
That's correct. And which way it was going to go. Olympia Black, right? So we know the code. We understand the,
Olympia Black
programming, right? We understand the programming at the most scientific level to where I can control you, right? They out here conducting experiments on us.
You're right.
They sure are.
You got to watch it twice.
Just any kind of experiment.
Right,
absolutely.
You got to watch it twice.
Absolutely got to watch it twice. And good morning. But so I think that's really happening, bro. Not even I think. There's all kind of history to show that we have been the subject of experimentation all the way back before slavery time. But then so well documented on how the alleged father of OBGYN was out here performing C-sections and experiment on slave women without anesthesia.
My gosh, bro.
And this is
because we didn't feel pain at the same rate.
This is what has built the modern science, the Western science that we've had. Meanwhile, they've been doing C-sections all the way back since Kemet.
Yo, right?
Right? The very people that you experimenting on, this is the doggone work that you stole from their bloodline. Right? And then you took credit from it.
That's right.
Right? And then now you study us, you study our behaviors, our movements, how these drums affect us, right? Because we were product, right? For over 400 years, right? With no rights, right? No dignity. And then now the social experiment continues, and the movie says that not only were we grouped into these areas that we call the hood,
That's right.
So that way they can experiment on us even more and utilize music and utilize drugs and utilize pimping and hoeing, right, to distract us.
Money, music,
right? So that way
women,
we could remain powerless.
Drugs,
right? And broken apart because that's the only way that they can remain balanced in this alleged democracy or social experiment called the United States.
So when they were cloning the folks, right? And they said they only cloned a few or a specific person.
Right.
Makes me think about that question. And I pose a question to everyone that's out there. From what you're doing in your community and from who you are as a person, would they clone you or kill you?
Ooh. Right. I got a brother of mine. And this brother gonna smile when he hear it. And he said to me one time, he said, listen, he said, bro, I spent so much time destroying the community. What I need to do now is spend the rest of my time giving it back.
Word.
And I watched this brother transform from what he used to be to now being like a leading light in the community, right? And it's crazy you should say that, right? Because the brother that who I'm referring to, he knows it and he understands that once upon a time he would have been cloned.
You've been cloned.
Right? But now this is the man that they're going to seek to destroy
because
he's leading.
And that goes back to the conversation we just had about our leaders.
Right.
What did they do to all of our leaders? They killed them.
Right.
But the ones they can control, they cloned them.
Right. And he said, listen, he said, look, somebody like you come a dime a dozen. The handler said this to him.
Word.
Somebody like you come a dime a dozen.
Dime a dozen.
Right? They're expensive. They're hard to recreate. You could be replaced in a minute. He didn't even have to put a gun to her.
That's right.
Right? So what we got? We got some truth. The movie is number 7 on Netflix. We need to run it up to number 1. I agree with that. Yeah, I would be done. Would be a done bun. And look,
you better be a done bun, and everybody answering this start to reflect. Are you going to be cloned or will you be killed? Because I know my life, man. they might take that other Malcolm out, brother. But I'm gonna keep on pushing.
Right. But that's why we gotta keep doing what we're doing, having these conversations. But listen, so I think that movie, it gave us some gems as far as the analysis of what exactly is going on right before our face.
Yeah.
And then, but also what I really, really like about it, and this is the last point I'm gonna make.
Yeah.
I really like the way that, did you notice that the very people who they thought was gonna be who they can control because they thought that they profiled them the right way, it still was the spirit that persisted that said, I'm going to rebel, even though you have shown me that I have no cards, right? I have no control, right? I'm still going to resist.
That's right.
Because
it's in you.
It's
in you. So to that same point, to the brother that said, I was such a terror, now I'm going to be a prince to my community.
Right.
That can go to everyone that's currently out there right now. If you still feel like I can do better, change the narrative of your life because it's never too late. I don't want to sound like we're preaching, but sheesh.
It's never too late.
Never too late.
Right.
They said they are doing both now.
Right, they are.
What they say they're doing, they're doing the complicit.
They're cloning the complacent. But that's in effect, though, Tanita Austin. In effect, that's exactly what it is. They were counting on the pimp and the drug dealer to remain complacent.
Yep.
But it was the individual will of the drug dealer that said, in spite of your perceived control, I'm going to resist. And the pimp, his name was Slick, rightfully so. he puts together this plan because he says, "Shit, I've been pimping people for years.
years.
I know exactly what it's like to make something look like something." He said, "Let me use my skill that I've developed in this system that you subjugated me to. Let me use it to my advantage." That sounded a lot like raising the problem up as you were raising the solution up out of the problem, right? Is that not another reflection of Christ or Muhammad?
Ooh. You talking today, bro. So from what we're saying is, if you watched the movie and you didn't like it, I understand, right?
Right.
But now that you kind of heard what we kind of broke down,
right?
Go back, give it
go
a
back
second
and look at
listen, man. Go back and give it another watch,
right?
And then start to pick up those nuggets and those jewels, man.
Absolutely, because they speckled all through.
Yeah, they all through it, and you'll start to see like, that's what them boys was talking about.
It's in the food, it's in the water, young blood.
That's right. It is
Straighter is greater. So what is it? We're being poisoned through our products. We being poisoned through our water. We being poisoned through our food.
Yo, man. You talk about a trifecta.
And do we not know that that's what's going on right now?
That's what we know.
Why we got a Food and Drug Administration and why they the same thing?
I don't know, but
right? Why do we have a regulating body that says, look, we're gonna regulate food and drugs? Because maybe
I guess because you consume them both. Food is a drug because we don't necessarily we don't live to eat, we eat to live, right?
That's correct. That's what we supposed to.
And what happens is that this hunger starts to become a drug because the oral fixation of eating starts to stimulate some things and we start to get addicted to it.
Sugar's addictive.
That's right. So it is. So that's the science behind it. So it is a drug. And then they start doing this artificial meat.
Right.
What?
I was just talking about this last night. I'm conflicted on this, right? Because real fast, because we can't get off of a tangent too much. Right. But we out here against artificial meat, right? But everybody was so excited when they was cloning artificial organs, and it's like, like if I'm dying, right, I'd rather have a fake heart than no heart at all. Stem cell,
okay,
right?
Yeah.
I take a stem cell grown heart, right? Yeah. Because it's a lifesaver, right? But we got the ability where we can clone meat and stop hunger, right? And stop death. And we're not gonna do that. And I made a parallel to where I'm like, yo, listen, we use technology to do stuff all the time. I brought this up real fast. We're gonna go in it. A baby is born premature, right? If the baby is not put in the incubator, the baby dies. Okay. You put it in the incubator, the baby can survive until term. Right? Is that not an external womb? And are we not doing the same exact thing? We're cooking and growing an undone child, right? Externally using. And that's a miracle and that's beautiful, but then we reject the meat. And I think that I understand not wanting the meat. I do get it because it's like that's weird, but I feel like a lot of times that our logic is flawed.
I get you on that.
Because we can use science as a miracle. Because
the science could make additives and make things into the meat that make it a little bit better for us. But it's just the trust. I don't want to go off topic, but it's just the trust into the government. So when you start saying it's artificial and y'all can do this, that, and the third, at least getting the trust back in the community first.
But listen, you on a donor list, right? And your ticker about to kick the bucket, and they like, yo, we got a stem cell lab grown heart.
Give me that.
You taking it, ain't you?
Yeah, take that.
But then you gonna turn your nose up to a lab grown burger.
I don't turn my nose up to a lab. I turn my nose up to a burger created by a machine, like meat created by a machine. Now,
right.
If it's cloned, we don't know what's cloned.
Well, so what they're doing is they're taking the culture off the meat, and then they're using it to replicate the cells to regrow it and create the environment.
I saw somebody sitting there creating plastic meat that kind of feels like real meat.
I think
are you talking about 3D printed meat?
Yeah.
All right, that's something different. That's not what I'm talking about.
That's disgusting.
Like I always said, they don't have enough chickens to furnish all the chicken places throughout the world. Throughout just Pennsylvania, how many different chicken places are there? KFC, Popeyes, Chick-fil-A. They don't have enough chickens for that, so they got to be using clone chicken.
I agree with that.
Abdul say McDowell's been selling kangaroo meat forever.
I agree with that.
My grandma used to say that you want that kangaroo meat. That was then. Like, we talking about now?
Mr. Miller, but keep in mind they had to even recognize the spark it even began to rebel. Yep, I agree with that. Like the Great Hill Scott said, the revolution will not be televised. The meaning being it will start in the mind. And I say that to say Tyrone had been killed many times before. Yep. And then I can't see the rest, but yeah. So listen.
So it was recognized because he saw it.
Right.
It was recognized because everybody saw it.
Right.
Yep.
You feel me? Now, he'd been killed before.
Right. But nobody knew.
But him, that Tyrone in that space had never been killed before because the guy said, I just shot you.
Yeah.
Right.
I just shot you. How you up and run around? Like,
What he said, you done sent a ghost to a pimp.
Because sometimes we walk around with blinders on.
Right.
And it's not until it really smack you in the face that you got to say, oh, shit, this is really happening. And no matter how many times people like yourself, P, like you, Drew, like myself, and everybody else probably chiming in, start to trying to wave the flag and say, hit the bell, like, yo, this is happening. Sometimes you got to see it for yourself to actually get woke up.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? So, you know, it is crazy, man. And you know, it goes back to like, you know, the distrust in the establishment, right? Mm-hmm. And we were talking about the distrust that we have from, I don't want to say not the government, but overall the establishment when we start talking about Emmett Till.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Right.
And the Emmett Till case where President Biden decides to put up a statue in his memorial or in his remembrance.
Right.
And I'm conflicted with that, bro. I'm conflicted with that because it feels so easy to do something so symbolic.
Right.
But and then we're supposed to praise that. But what are we doing that's really impactful when it comes down to situations like that, right?
Right.
And it's just like a statue, dog. Like, all right. You know what I mean? But how do we fix what
gets to the root of the problem?
Kill Emmett Till,
right?
And not just the lie, but everything else that snowballed from the lie.
Right. So yeah, let's get into that. So here we go. Right. So first of all, Emmett Till should not have been dead. Mm-hmm. Why is Emmett Till dead? Why are we discussing the statue in 2023? Well, in short, because some lady lied, right? And then some overly entitled white male decided to take the law into his own hands and murder a 14-year-old boy.
They let him. They let them.
From his ego.
That's right.
Being driven by his ego, because nothing more than that. The audacious ego. They murdered this boy. They maimed his body. And it's funny, his mother's name is Mamie. Right? They maimed this boy's body.
How old was he, like 12?
Either 12 to 14, somewhere in that area. Very young man, right? Very young man, a child. I think back to when I was 14, a young child. Young child. We like to say, oh, well, 14, that's a teenager. You should know better. Know better than what? I know that I got 11 more years of brain development before my logical deductive reasoning is done. That's what I know.
That's right.
Right? But anyway, I digress on that. So then, so now they maimed this boy's body. And if not it had been for his mother saying, we're going to do an open casket, most of the world would not have known that this actually happened.
Never experienced how gruesome those injuries were.
Well, that it even happened because they were denying it.
Of course.
Right? Nobody accepted it, and it wasn't until that occurred that it actually got national presence and people spoke about it. And now, fast forward, nothing was ever done. Nothing was ever done.
Nothing.
Right? That woman passed away. She never saw justice. Them two males that murdered him was acquitted. Right? And now in 2023, this nation, right, and its overwhelming desire to cover up and downplay any form of responsibility that it is taken to destroy people, they come up with another symbolic gesture to say, let's build a statue. For what?
For what?
Right? And so it's been brought to my attention that some people believe, and I respect this concept, that it's about having a conversation. These statues start conversations. Well, first of all, I brought up the point about, well, how many statues in the world are there about the rebel soldiers that in the world right now that was Confederate soldiers, right? That you don't even know who they are, right? That these conversations aren't started. You don't even take the time. You walk past these statues and you don't even take the time and Google. It's a Confederate statue on 291 in Chester. I guarantee you that most people that grew up here never seen that statue. Guarantee it. I've never walked down there and looked at it and read it. It has not started a conversation. 3 generations from now, that Emmett Till statue will not start a conversation. Kids will walk by it and see the statue and have no clue who Emmett Till was. And Emmett Till's bloodline is snuffed out, right? that it will never continue on, right? No kids.
No
legacy. There was pain and suffering that occurred from him dying. Mamie Till and her family, I'm sure they never had any kind of compensation to be made whole, right? And his legacy is as such. Right. Being known as the little boy who was dragged for miles and maimed and thrown into the water. And the last memory and the only memory that I have of this young man is looking like his face was smashed in, like looking like a fist.
Like a fist.
Right? And then they say, you know how we're going to make it right? We're going to give you a statue.
What kind of person are you?
Right.
To destroy a 12-year-old child. Like
the same kind of person that will for generations ensure that there's still no legislation on a federal level to protect black people.
And I'm just thinking about that, bro. Like, he was a 12-year-old child lynched. Can you imagine those people beating up this 12-year-old child?
Yep. Emmett Till's accusers still exist today. Karen's, Karens and Kens.
Ling says
that's who beat up these
Mayfield says
children.
Crumbs. So many people are happy with just crumbs, and that's what that statue is. It is just crumbs.
That's all it is. It's crumbs. It's a joke.
And I'm with you on that. I think when you erect a statue, it should be paired with legislation,
right? Right.
Or policy,
legislation that we couldn't get passed.
Not a damn resolution, not a damn citation. No, policy or legislation should be equipped with a statue. Right, because like you said, if we're going to use this as a talking measure or a talking point, then what was really done?
Right.
What was really done for Emmett Till?
Talk is dead.
Nothing, right? So we say, hey, look at this statue of Emmett Till, a 12-year-old boy who was beat to death because someone lied on him. Okay, so what happened else, teacher? Oh, nothing. They just put the statue up.
Right.
What are we talking about?
Stacey, no way.
I feel.
Oh, the kids of the murderers? No. They're cops?
Yes.
Big shocker.
Big shocker.
Big shocker.
But I feel like, this is the beginning, right? The statue, okay, that's what you want to do. That's what he wants to do. That's not what the black community wants.
Right.
You know what I mean? We're not asking for
Who advised him?
You feel me? He just feels like, oh, let's just do this nice thing.
Who's the advisor in the White House,
to his
bro?
vice president, and she was like, that's nice. But we really want more than that. I hope she's in there creating problems and saying what we deserve, right? But what that does, it sparks conversation. We have Alexander McClay Williams from Delaware County who was electrocuted and killed. You know what I mean? Like
Alexander McClay Williams,
right? Ulysses Slaughter right now is trying to rename the Chester Juvenile Courthouse after him.
Ooh.
You understand what I'm saying?
So now that would be impactful, because now every time you walk into this standing representation of the judiciary.
But listen to who it's named after. It's named after the judge that sentenced him to death.
Wow. Right now?
Yes. You understand what I'm saying?
Because history is always told by the victor.
History is always told by the one who won.
The audacity.
Yeah.
They named the courthouse of the judge that...
If I win, I'll tell a story.
Yes.
My narrative will always be the one that's taught because I'm the winner.
It's sad. Right.
So if we don't get these monuments erected, much like Columbus, monuments for Columbus, then the Italian people get to get behind, okay, he discovered America, he discovered everything. Not to talk about how he brutalized us.
Yeah.
Right.
How he tortured us.
Right.
How he enslaved us.
Right.
How he raped us.
Brought syphilis.
How he took everything from us.
Brought syphilis to the land.
You know what I'm
right.
saying? Like,
and how you discover somebody's house? Let me pull up in your crib. Matter of fact, here we are.
Look, I just discovered
a station.
Radio, P.
I discovered a station.
Bro.
So in true Columbus Day form, this is my station now?
Like what? Like I said, it's all about the victor. Right. I get the opportunity to tell my story my way. When we think about the South and how they told the stories that they told, like they won the war.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they in their books, in the books in the schools in the South, they talk about the South like they won the war.
Word.
They lost.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But didn't they?
They did.
Stop it, because we can't talk about that, because then we in trouble. Because then we in trouble. They absolutely did.
But we know and we feel differently about them winning the war.
Right.
And how the narrative is pushed up here is like, no, we won.
Nah, they won.
You know? So I don't have a problem with the statue going up. I just feel like we need to keep on talking about what we need to get fixed. And if you don't believe me, hit up Ulysses Slaughter, talk to him. We need more people behind
Ulysses definitely have that knowledge. You're right.
Right. Now, I do agree with that. We definitely need to keep having a conversation.
Yeah.
But Biden, that statue ain't about to do nothing.
Who
pass a protection, like, Congress
law.
and Biden need to pass a law to protect people that look like me.
I keep going back
Right.
what he just said. Who's in the room, bro?
Right.
Who's in the room advising this?
Right.
Hey, we going to do a statute. Oh, that's an excellent idea, Mr. President.
Right.
Who's there?
But matter of fact, for real, we put it on the federal government, which I think is noble, but the federal government is already showing us that we don't have no skin in that game.
At all.
So what we really need to do is we need to apply pressure to the Pennsylvania state legislator, and every other watching state need to do the same, right? Because the state legislator is elected by a 1-for-1 vote, right? That literally is our democracy. So if we really want to see legislation passed that protects people that look like us, we need to do it at the state level.
That's right.
And then we need to have all of the states in the United States adopt the same legislation, and that is in effect the same thing as a federal law, right? Without the backing of the federal government.
Lean says
People got the power.
These so-called black leaders asked for these memorials. James was saying, we are tired of the conversation. All we do is talk. Lamont says, how you discover land that was never lost. That's a fact.
That's a fact.
That is a fact.
You can't.
You know.
It was lost to them.
Yeah, because they didn't know.
It was lost to them.
Right, because they ain't never been there.
They know.
They now discovered.
Like, oh my God.
Oh my God! I discovered this land. You poor native people. You don't understand. But we understood. And
we understood that.
How we get there?
How do we discover South America first, but didn't discover America? How did the African people discover South America and Mexico? Right.
We walked
and didn't discover North America.
We was off
you think we can't go up the street?
Right.
Oh, anyway.
We're talking about over 500 years of migration from Africa to other places throughout the world.
Yeah.
We're everywhere.
We was chilling. Everywhere.
Somebody said everywhere? Yep. Because go look up the Australian Aboriginal people in case you was wondering. Go look them up in case you was wondering, right? The Aboriginal people of every land. Right? From when the continents was still all the way back to one, it's separated and we have scattered all across. It says it. But we're not going to go there. We're not going to have that Israel talk. I almost slipped out. I almost said it about the nations being scattered. But that's another one. But yeah, so that's one lie. So the Emmett Till lie. Yeah. What other kind of lies we got driving our community?
So as we were talking about the lie from the lady from Emmett Till, right?
Right.
And then we bring it to today, right? We're talking about the lady that died on Johnny Depp, on what happened with him. Talking about the woman that died on Jonathan Majors,
right?
What happened with him,
right?
And then currently, Carly Russell.
There we go, Carly Russell
with the baby, right?
AKA Juicy Smouillet.
Juicy. So with these overwhelming stories of, let's just say, women lying in public, is that destroying the narrative of believe all women? Ooh.
Yeah, that's heavy.
That's heavy, isn't it?
Yeah, man, because I'm torn. So, because the reality is that the more times we see on TV about people lying, confirmation bias is real. Confirmation bias is a thing. And it doesn't have to be factual. I just have to... My bias is going to be triggered if I see it one spot and I see it again in another spot and I see it again in another spot. Them 3 times, that's confirmation bias. So now, from my perspective, that lie that really had no credence is stronger now. So from that perspective, the question, does that damage the believe all women? Yes.
Yeah.
Right? But I think that's really more so, I want to say that that's another reflection of the work that we need to do within our community.
Okay.
Because the reality is that men lie, women lie, numbers don't. Right? That's the only thing that don't lie. And the numbers show that by and large, there are a minority population of people who lie, but there's also a large number of people within the population who are being honest,
absolutely,
and are telling the truth,
absolutely.
And I think that it's up to us to continue to look at all of these situations with fresh eyes,
absolutely,
and not generalize, because we got to protect our women
at all costs.
We have to
at all costs.
And I think it's very sad that we got your Carlisha Russells, or whatever her name is. Matter of fact, I know that's wrong, but I like messing her name up, because for real, she shouldn't be famous for destruction.
That's true.
Right? So whatever it is, whatever her name is, we know who she is. It's sad that there's people like her in the world, and the ex-wives of Johnny Depp, and it really is degrading the concept on how we need to trust, right? But the reality is also that it's a bunch of people in this world that lie.
That's lie.
So what's that saying? We need to analyze it.
And you are blessed to have a son.
Yes.
So how do we protect our sons?
How do we protect we got to be honest. We got to tell our sons to be wise and pay attention, right? And I mean, I guess it's sad to say, but you got to move with a certain level of wisdom where you keep receipts, right? So what I would say is, give your children the game.
Yeah.
We're not doing them any services or any justices by pulling the wool over their eyes.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Let them know and understand the nature of people early on. Right? And
because a lot of people don't necessarily understand the conflict until it's their son.
For sure.
Or is their brother.
Right. And then now you believe,
father, right?
And now who do I believe?
And then who do you believe?
Because I don't want to believe that my son would do that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I respect that and I totally understand that.
Yeah.
Right? But we got to get a game. Right? And I believe that as long as we're doing that, there's going to always be some people that's going to lose. Unfortunately, we can't protect everybody.
Absolutely.
But I think that a lot of the issues that we have is because we don't talk about it.
Yeah.
Right? We understand that rape and molestation is rampant.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
But we always sweeping it under the rug and we acting like it didn't happen.
And that's something we can't do.
Right.
Man. Absolutely.
And
what did it say?
Lamont said our women are protected, but they abuse the system when they get caught messing up. Some of them, Lamont, some of them. That's not we can't make that general statement. We know for sure that people lie, that women lie, that men lie. We know this for sure. But again, I want us to make sure that we're looking at every situation individually. Right?
And I know this is very controversial, man, and it's something that we really wanted to touch on because you start to look at us as a community, and as you say, our women are a reflection of us.
Right. They are us. They're not a reflection of us. They are us.
They are us.
We are literally the same.
So they are. We are them, and they are us.
Right.
So we have to get to a space and place where we trust one another again.
That's correct.
Respect one another again, right? Because as much as we are always going to protect and provide and make sure that we listen at all costs, we also cannot allow, let's say, the deep leaders of the men of our communities to continuously be sacrificed, lied on, and removed, because we already have so many other distractions. We already have many other enemies. We have so many different other
things dividing us.
That we don't need to have that in-house, right? We don't need to have that in-house. And one, men need to respect, and two, women need to respect.
Absolutely.
And that's
so
really
where it's consistent. We need to respect each other.
That's it.
And it's so important because you can't, if we don't respect each other, then we ain't loving each other.
Yeah.
And if we not loving each other, then we in effect are not loving ourselves.
Yeah.
That is the reality of it. And how could you say you love yourself when you don't respect yourself?
Yeah.
And how can you respect yourself when you ain't respecting your women?
Yeah.
And when you ain't loving your women? We the same. We gonna bleed the same.
Yeah. Lean says
there's no scenario that women can be subjugated and we can be progressive and successful. It's an oxymoron. It's an oxymoron. Right? It's going to drag us as a culture.
It does, and it has.
And it has.
And it's continuously doing
the pudding.
Every single time. And we got to, and like you said, JP says, you got to love yourself. Lean says, why are we the only culture that accepts the responsibility of bad actors and a mark of our community?
I agree with that. Because we don't control our programming. Shout out to CMP Radio for changing that narrative.
Yeah, man.
Right? But I feel like the reason why is because it's shoved down our throat. Yeah. This is all we see, all we hear. We turn on the radio and we hear music about the struggle that's only highlighting the struggle and it's not highlighting the positive work, right? We're the poor righteous teachers of the world and the KRS Ones and the they don't get put people on the air, who were making music that helped us believe in ourselves and understand our power and our wisdom, right? All of that's going now. We turn on the TV. Right. So they're suppressed. Because when you control the airwaves, I can't have positivity because positivity is going to beget positivity.
Where is a Gen Z Nas?
Right.
Where is a Gen Z KRS? Where is a a little baby like rapper who is putting positivity? Where are those rappers?
J. Cole.
Like we're like I can't even name a new dude.
That's just the one.
Other than old school cats Where are they? Because then they can be able to provide, at least going back to those 808s and those drums.
Right.
You know,
right. But we definitely we got to change that. But also part of it is we consuming it, right? So Hove said, y'all like, he said something, y'all should buy it. That's good business. I can't think of the line right now. Like, it's messing me up. But it's something to the nature of, they like, why you dumbing down your lyrics? And he like, cause look, when I rap this way, y'all don't buy it. So I gotta rap this way because this is what sells, because that's good business.
Right.
We do have the teacher. I know y'all know who the teacher is, right? You don't know who the teacher is?
Who's the teacher?
KRS.
Oh, KRS.
Oh, yeah.
Knowledge reigns supreme over everyone.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right. So when he's speaking. But again, like you say, people are not paying attention because he's not talking about the booty shaking and the crack selling and the chains and all that. But he's talking about things that can help us.
Absolutely.
Constantly. I'm always listening to him.
For sure. But he not in that white space anymore of fame, right?
But we could
it was cut short. We sure
it's hard to, because you can barely get a 20-year-old to listen to any 90s rapper.
Yesterday in New York, the TikToker, right, said he was going out there. I'm gonna give out 1,000 gift cards.
Oh yeah,
they went crazy.
Senat or something like that.
These people have more power than we think of, and we don't reach out and we don't get them, and people are scared to network with them.
That's true.
It went crazy up there, and it was a bunch of young. I mean, you want to talk about? It was at least 30,000 people out there.
Yeah, it was to a point where they had to stop the streets and advise people not going down there.
Right. They arrested people. They arrested him for exciting a riot.
That's wild. Because no one person should have that much power. That's what it's about.
But how do we pull young boys like that in the fold?
Well, you got to have them talk to the old heads. The old heads got to talk to them. See, the old heads can't feel like they know everything, so the young boys got to come to him. Sometimes you got to go to the young boys.
Right. We do.
That's a fact.
Sometimes you got to go to the young boys. Listen, man, let me talk to you, man. I see the power that you got. We got to bring these people together.
Right.
They were out there fighting and playing around and doing all types of stuff, but we got to bring these people together.
Right.
That's the only way we can move forward.
Right.
We understand where the
so
power
I'm hearing
is.
Unc say that there's power in being humble.
Yes.
It is.
That's wisdom.
It is.
So
and we got to be humble enough to go to these young boys and say, all right, look, man, you got it. You that boy. You on top.
That's a fact.
But listen, let me give you some game.
Right.
Because unfortunately, with some young cats, if they caked up, they got the recognition, they famous, and you not as the old head coming to them, they not gonna try to hear you. They're like, you not even where I'm at.
Right.
So why should I listen to you? Right. So you're right. We got to be a little humble by coming at some of these young cats and giving them game on how to influence those of their generation, man.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So there was some conversation about how we don't control the markets. I agree, we don't control the markets, and that's why the positive messaging that we need is put out, and that's why, again, shout out to CMP Radio, because this is us saying, like, look, we're gonna do our own programming.
That's right.
We're gonna give our own information, right?
Mentorship without calling it mentoring.
Right. Jedi mind trick.
Yeah.
Right? Because these young boys want guidance. Because one thing we know about humans, right? We flock to structure, whether we like it or not.
Yeah.
Right?
We need structure.
We need it, and
need
when somebody
we crave it.
When we see somebody who presents themselves as a form of strength, that's the person who we want to align with and we look to, and it happens all the time, right? It's in our nature, right? So all we got to do is be that person in the community that these young boys can say, like, all right, look, I don't know you and you not where I'm at, but I feel what you're saying, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like these young boys, if they can't do nothing else, they could read your energy.
Yeah, they can definitely read energy, and respect to them, because they definitely can, and they do, right? And us as old heads, we gotta present on their level, man.
Right.
We really do,
Right.
because we at a point, and some of us old heads think, because we know it or got it or been there, that they shouldn't listen. For what?
Right.
I'm looking at you old head for what?
Right,
because
they don't know you
for. Who are you?
Right, exactly.
Right.
And then furthermore, they already, a lot of times we ain't even really got it. Because, once upon a time, we grew up in a time where black fathers were present in every household, and it was a very rare occasion where they weren't. But then we went through some generations of strife where it was designed to take black parents out of the household.
Yep.
So now a lot of these kids didn't have that foundation of that male figure. So it's already like I have almost a disdain
It's unrecognizable when it comes to them, right?
So now when you in my presence, the way I feel around you, I've never had this feeling.
It's met with like resistance.
So of course it's going to be met with resistance because it's new.
Yeah,
right?
Like,
what is this feeling that I feel? Like who are you? How you making me feel this way from your presence?
Against the system.
I don't like that, right? And not because it's not a good thing, but because it's an unknown thing. It's
unknown territory for them.
And we fear the unknown and we reject the unknown.
Every course.
Right? And I think that's all it's about. And I believe and I feel that if we are more persistent and intentional in how we move, right? These young boys are going to connect to us because they want it, they need it.
That's right.
We need it in this world.
Lamont says when things go wrong, these young cats, when
they want to blame old heads. But we tried telling them, and what they say, got to hear. But we ain't trying to hear that.
They do.
Maybe because we was trying to tell them, and let's stop telling them and showing them.
Yeah, right? I think because we try
people
to
do what they
force
showed and not what they told.
Oh, come on, young boy, you ain't supposed to do it like that. Hey, I'm saying da-da-da. And yeah, I'm going to say, go ahead, young boy, go ahead, get out of here.
Right. Instead, let's say, young boy, watch this.
Because we can't give up, man. We really can't give up. And I know it's tough for us to just throw our, not to throw our hands up and to be like, yo, man, F it, man. These young boys got it. I ain't got the time. I'm just going to stay in my little circle, my little silo. I'm going to do my thing, go to work, take my family, and I'm just going to be out.
Right.
But guess what? I call the community also like politics. You run from politics, but politics is going to find you. You keep running from that community. You keep running from them young boys. They're going to find you. It's going to hit your doorstep one way or the other. Whether it's going to hit your doorstep of somebody doing it in your community or your block, or it could be your own kid.
That's like the clip we showed last show, right? Where we played that, where it was like, listen, what we should have been doing was making sure that there wasn't nobody like that in the community, right? Yeah. By our presence, by our mentorship. So here it is. It comes full circle. Brother Lamont, I'm not making excuses for nobody. What I'm trying to do is accept accountability because it's really easy to pass the blame, right? But the reality is these young boys going to need some guidance from us.
Some way, somehow, right? Man. Because
at the end of the day, we got to own it because this is our community.
Yeah.
Imagine the world burning and we standing there saying the young boys did it. Like, that's wild.
Yeah,
Lamont, that's wild.
And we sit here full-fledged, strong men who can control that. And we just sit back with our hands up like, well, I tried. I said this. I said that.
Right, because point and blame, what is that going to do? Right?
Yeah, we just passing
when it's all said and done and we say, like, the young boys did it, so now we die? Like, right? That's it? We just continue to suffer and squalor, or we got to do something different. So, no, I'm not making excuses at all. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to make amends. I'm trying to figure out a way to make a bridge.
Because this is the community our kids got to navigate through, right? Right, my daughters have to navigate through this community of these young boys coming up acting reckless.
Right.
And I'll be damned if one of them do something to my daughters. Right. So let me go ahead and try to shape and mold them, and while also equipping my daughters to learn how to maneuver and navigate through this. Because it's a win-win situation when we step in.
We had a conversation Friday where we were talking about how do we stop gun violence. I said we teach our kids how to use guns.
Yes. I agree wholeheartedly.
I said we've tried for so many years. Oh, let's stop the manufacturer
from making guns. Stop doing that.
Now it's to the point where
educate, expose.
You can create a gun with a machine, just like you can create meat.
That's right.
It's like we don't need to go to Smith & Wesson or anywhere else to buy a gun. You can create a gun in your house, get a 3D printer, and make a gun. And put a button on it, make it an automatic. Now it's semi-automatic.
That's right. And that goes back to what we were saying, like when your parents were saying, like, look, if you're going to do something in this house, I'd rather you do it in front of me first. Here's your first drink, right? Here's this, here's that. You expose it to them because then when they actually get around it, it's not now a faux pas. It's not something of exotic to them. This is like, oh, okay, I already exposed this. I understand. And a lot of times people don't understand the severity of weapons, right?
For sure.
Right, they glorify it, but don't understand once you pull that trigger, man, how much lives. It can't be. That's something that cannot go back. So if we
respect the life, learn the value of it.
Learn the value
of
it.
So I'm with you, big bro. I'm with that.
We sit here and we sit here and try to do everything about gun violence. We sit here and do all these things, and over the last 50-something years, we've been losing this war. We've already told that the Republicans, or the other side who loves guns, will not allow us to do anything that's impactful when it comes to gun violence. So let's start playing their game. All right. You know what they did with machine guns with the Panthers? That's how they got them outlawed, right?
It sure is.
So let's start teaching our kids the real value of it, so that when it alleviates the grandioses of having it, right?
Shout out to the Panthers and all of their social programs that they developed. School lunch because they wore their guns, right? The reason why. Shout out to them.
Right.
That's a fact. So real quick, you mentioned about the impact, and basically we gotta learn the power of guns, and that's gonna be the solution on how we stop the gun violence. I could second that, because so in the Marine Corps we went in a gas chamber, and for the first like 3 years in the Marine Corps, I never really understood this exercise. It didn't really dawn on me until the last time I went in it the most recent time that I went in it, when I was a little bit older, when I was past the phase and I understood the system a little bit better. And I got in there and I was like, all right, look, if I had never gone through this gas mask training, how curious would I have been at the wrong time to see if this gas mask really worked?
Facts.
Right? They were so wise in understanding that everything I did, I had to get trained on it first.
Because you got to go through it first.
Because so bringing it back to where you like, all right, look, I want to have a first drink with my kids, or you want to make sure that your kids understand guns. And the same deal that in the military, everything we did, we trained first. I did drills. That's right. We did dry ones.
That's
we
right.
thought about it. We practiced it.
That's right.
Right? And then we got taught to train how you fight, because it established a level of trust and understanding, right? So you have experience before you do it your first time.
Awareness of it, right?
Awareness of it.
Because when I did my 235 training, the first thing we had to do was, one, learn how to get tased, and also take pepper spray, right? And it's not because you needed it, like it's something to do. You needed to learn the severity of it, right? You need to get exposed to it. And that goes back to this. I think I said this phrase, this saying over the last time.
Right, that's correct.
And I stole it from somebody. I said, children are like Polaroid pictures, man. All they need is a little bit of exposure, and they will develop.
That's correct.
You know what I'm saying?
Fact.
So when we expose our kids to certain things, they'll develop the way we need them to go. But we just have to continuously show them the right and give them the right exposure so that they can grow correctly, man, or develop correctly.
I feel like the Democrats, because Anton gets said the Democrats want to disarm the public versus Republicans are pro-gun. I feel like the Democrats are only saying what other people that they want to vote for them are saying.
That's correct.
We need guns gone. So now, let's get rid of the guns.
Right.
But majority
in reality,
of those,
nah.
Majority of those Democrats that are in office
have guns.
Have guns.
Have guns.
Right. And shoot guns.
Yes.
It's us that go crazy with the guns because our grandma said the guns was wrong, so we don't carry the gun, or it's outlawed. The thing that you outlaw the most are the things that the kids are going to want to touch.
They're going to want the most.
They're going to want. If I sit there and put something up on top of the
and say, don't touch this, don't touch this.
No matter what.
Guess what?
They're going to try
I'm going to go touch it because I need to know what's going on. The forbidden fruit.
Forbidden fruit.
When I was like 10 years old, my father showed me his first service pistol.
Right.
And from then, I knew the severity of weapons. Right. You know what I'm saying? So I agree with that, man. We have to start counteracting and thinking out the box, because the lies and deceit in the community is the lies and deceit of the establishment.
Right.
Which brings us to DeSantis saying slavery toward the skills, workforce development skills for the future.
Right.
And
slavery taught workforce development skill. Wow.
And
what a framing.
To counteract that, he want to remove teaching us our history.
Right.
So he can continue to lie.
You know what that sounds a lot like? History is told by the victors.
By the victor.
And so it's crazy how this is the conversation that come up in the topic today about Ron DeSantis and his push to erase the effects of slavery from the classrooms, right? Coming off of the back of this largely debated ideology of whether critical race theory was necessary or not, what critical race theory is,
facts,
right? And how it's somehow been spun to say that all critical race theory is teaching white people that they're inherently racist just because they're white. Yeah, First of all, that's a bunch of crock of crap.
That's not true, man.
Right? Because we already know off the rip that, well, one, racism is a social construct.
That's right.
And prejudice is a choice.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
And neither one of them are inherent based on a color, but it's
Absolutely
a decision
not.
that you make to subscribe to.
It's a
right?
cognitive decision that you make.
But then the social construct, the effects of the social construct continue on with or without your personal desire.
You subscribe to that.
So I think this is a great example of racism, right? I have the ability to control the laws so I could rewrite history, right? I can control the narrative and say that slavery was beneficial and necessary for workforce development, right? Which is wild to me because workforce development that mandates that you can't read and that allows you to be beaten and enslaved inside of
if we read, we was put to death.
Chattel slavery forever.
How is that a workforce skill, bro?
Right.
Anyway, go ahead.
But so then they like to paint this narrative that says that
immigrants know
that white race is the superior race, and there's been times. But anyway, so I started this whole tangent to say I think it's wild because I've been studying Reconstruction.
Yeah.
Right. And why is it that the Reconstruction period is not taught, and when it is taught, what do those teachings look like? So what I've been able to find was that by and large, the teachings of Reconstruction, when you learned it in a school, it largely positions it as this political idea that was unsuccessful, right? That were basically black people were given the opportunity to move into the establishment and they were not able to rise to the occasion. But man, that couldn't be further from the truth. You know what I realized, what I found out?
Oh, we got the opportunity to, say that again?
It said that we had the opportunity to move into enfranchisement, right, of the United States. So after slavery, when all things were we were supposed to be free and we're supposed to have equal rights and protections under the law.
So they gave us a chance and we failed.
That's the way they're pointing the narrative, right? But you know what I found out? So 10 years after slavery, right, about a third of Congress was black.
Remember I was telling you that?
And the literacy rate went from under 50% to damn near 80% of the black population knowing how to read, right? With limited resources after slavery, right? And it can be argued now that in reality that Reconstruction was so successful, so wildly successful, that there was black strong communities that were laborers, that were skilled laborers, that were producers, that were politicians, that were scientists. They had built up black public schools all across the country, right? Black educational institutions all across the country, right? And it was doing so well and it was so wildly successful that the establishment felt that the only way that they could keep this under control was by the use of force.
Burn it down.
Burn it down, and we saw a rise in the KKK.
And that's why I asked you to repeat that, because when we got the opportunity, we thrived.
Yes, we did.
Thrived.
And we thrived to a point where we're so much where they came and hated and burnt. Like if you ever walk through the African American Museum down in D.C., right? I don't know if you guys ever been there, right? And it starts off on a slave ship, right? And then it goes to each level, right? It goes up and up and up and up. And in each point, an era in our history, it shows where we say, F you guys, we're going to do our own thing. We just want to live and do our own thing. Right. We did it. We thrived and successful.
And then they
burnt it down. Right? Recontrol. Right? Then we said, all right, we broke away from that. All right, we're going to do it again. Burnt it down. Right? So I don't understand how they can continue to teach a false narrative. Of we failed at
Reconstruction was a failure, knowing full well that the President Woodrow Wilson screened Birth of a Nation at the White House
with all these guardrails.
Are you shocked by that? You say it like you're shocked, like you don't.
But I'm not shocked, bro, because this is
yes, linear.
But what really, this is what irks me, right? These governors stand right now today, because this history is not hidden, right? And this is where it is. These governors stand today, right? Today, making a point on how critical race theory is a joke, and that they're trying to spin it and say that the reason why this is coming out is about forcing ideologies of homosexuality and racism on the children, and we got to protect our children. When in fact, how do you make wise decisions and how do you ensure that history is not repeated if you don't know the true history?
No, but
if you don't know what really happened.
They want the history repeated.
Exactly.
They want to not be knocked off of the edge. They want to stand on top and piss until it's raining today.
Because you know why they get this platform? Because we don't fucking vote.
We don't vote. We don't stick together. We don't ride out
You
together.
just said-
And I saw somebody in the comments say that we need to sit this out. Yeah,
Right?
governors.
You said
And that's intentional.
governors.
I said governors because it's more than one.
Because it's more than one who
And
are
governors,
elected.
they are the highest executive of the state, which in the United States,
Who
the
are
state
elected
is the supreme
by
power.
the people. And we continuously keep sitting here thinking that it don't matter when DeSantis is voted in. Like, if you can't conceptualize 1 and 1 equals 2,
Right.
what the hell do we got to do to show you?
But I want to be clear. I'm not taking the position that Biden is any better.
Listen,
I want to
ain't
be
never saying
100%
that.
clear. They are all opposite sides of the same coin.
That's not where I'm going.
right.
At all, right? Because I don't know where we are right now.
Right.
We're just floating water right now as a country.
I mean, what did you expect that was going to happen after we had a black president?
We gotta right the ship.
Right.
That's what they not us. They're writing the ship.
But what did you think by putting Trump in there? What did that do?
It was exactly like I can't think of what the scholar's name was right now. It escapes me, but he wrote a book, Faces at the Bottom of the Well, right? And Faces at the Bottom of the Well, and I've spoke about this on air before. It basically asserts that for every period of progression, there's an equal opposite period of regression, and it goes all the way back to previous to slavery. And that change in America is not linear like we think, but it's more like a heart monitor. It goes here, then here, then here, then here, then here, right? And there is no real progress because the net effect is from the day after slavery until today, right? Black wealth has still remained the same.
The same. Right? Say that again, because a lot of people say
it has remained the same.
We have more black billionaires
than
we ever have.
We do not. We do. What we have is we have a larger pie.
Right.
With a fiat currency that means nothing.
Right.
So although we have black people who are reaching the numbers of assets that equal what we call millionaires, right? The spending power of a millionaire is significantly different today than what it was 50 years ago. But then more importantly, the amount of the pie that we control is exactly the same. Don't be confused, my people. Don't think that just because we got more people balling that means that we control the pie. No, the pie got bigger, so inevitably everybody got a bigger slice, allegedly, right? But that slice is still divided up against, because at the end of the day, when it's all said and done and the smoke clears, no matter what that net number is, it's still 15% of the pie. We have not gotten a bigger slice. It appears bigger.
It appears bigger because we keep investing back into the same circle.
Smoke and mirrors.
That's all.
Right. Well, so no, it's not
We're
that we
investing
keep
back into the same cycle.
No, if we invested in the same cycle, we'd be good. The problem is we keep making the same process that we don't invest in our cycle. We give it to everybody else.
That's what I'm saying.
Right.
So we get more. We get more millionaires. We get more people. But what are we doing with it? What are we doing with that?
Right.
Where's the structure? Where's the infrastructure?
We have become the buyers and not the sellers.
Right.
We have become to a point where we do not give back to each other. We don't believe in each other. We believe in that man over there because he has success.
Right.
So we go over there. We go to Walmart. We go to all these other places. There were black stores in Chester.
Sure was.
There are now no longer I need people a black store.
Right.
Owned by black people, not the Arabs, not the Chinese. Where's the black store?
So I was in Barbados. And
shout out to fine ass Riri.
Right, we was like, and we was like, where's the Walmarts? Where is the Targets?
No,
and they say they refuse to allow those stores to come into that community.
Respect,
because they know they would tear apart their economy.
Respect,
yeah.
So there are no
keep
superstores.
Our economy ours.
So nothing in Barbados. It's all mom and pop.
Right.
So
the way it should be.
Yeah. Exactly.
So Beaufort, South Carolina, right? Now, even though, I'm going to preface this real quick statement by saying that Beaufort did have some corporate stores, right? But what I noticed about Beaufort was, by and large, their population, or excuse me, their community had a lot of local stores, local restaurants, and only a handful of chain presence, right? And I understood from watching it and from learning from the people that they intuitively knew that they have to protect their economy, right? The locals fought so hard against the Starbucks coming, right? The Starbucks ended up coming, but it was because mainly there was not too many local coffee shops, but they had so many local businesses, and I really liked the way that they controlled that local population and business, right?
That's right.
And that was the first insight that I saw. I was like, yo, we could do this. They got a parkway running through that was called Robert Smalls Parkway, and go look up the history of Robert Smalls. That man was a revolutionary.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, all right, moving on. I think that all of this comes down to what we always say, man.
What's that?
That we got to start building for our own. We got to literally own the businesses in our community. We need to own our houses in our community. We need to work together as a collective because at the end of the day, this wicked system ain't getting no better.
Yep.
We living in the same system in 2023 that we was living in when Mamie exposed the maimed face of Emmett Till.
That's right.
Right? The same exact spirit that controlled the government then controls it today. The only difference is nobody's talking about it.
Why would anybody talk about that?
Why?
Yeah.
I mean, you're right, because talking about it got people killed, Malcolm.
Then.
Martin.
It got people killed then.
Then.
And then I guess they can do it now and just say, oh, you was at the wrong place at the wrong time. They can make it look like, gang related. Or
Yeah,
they can
for
make
sure.
it look like an accident.
Nipsey Hussle. Right.
But,
Nipsey.
But when you understand
Young
the
Dolph.
saying that you're only as strong as your
The
weakest
person
link,
who,
and you're not afraid to reach down, understand why this radio station was started. It was started to educate the people at the bottom.
That's right.
Not so much to keep the
'Cause
people
you
at the top,
gotta
but
educate
to
your
educate the
foundation.
people at the bottom
That's
so they
right.
can stand up.
That's
so
right.
you can reach your hand up and be
That's right.
grabbed and reach
That's
back
right.
down and like it's
That's
a
right.
link. So if you're only as strong as your weakest link,
Because all great leaders need shoulders to stand on, bro.
That's correct.
if we're only as strong as our weakest link and we do not continue to reach down into the community and pick people up and we feel like people at the bottom are worthless, then we will stay exactly where we are.
Right.
The only people that make anything are the people that are already at the top that that will not give back.
That's right.
Oprah, Michael Jordan, like all those people.
Let's
like,
call it what it is in context of history. They're the black bourgeoisie, but it's following the same pattern of the bourgeoisie class, right?
Absolutely.
It's in their best interest to remain in control, so they keep us divided, right? And largely unaffected or ineffective, right? Because Antoine just said it, because we don't work together.
don't work together.
Right?
See
We don't
it
have
every
our
day.
collective power.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And bringing it back home to the main point we always make, our true power
right.
is in our collective.
That's right.
And as long as that is a fact, which it has always been, because strength in numbers. Right? Big Mama said it. One finger pointing the blame don't have no impact, but you put them together into a fist, it make a mighty blow. Right?
Big Mama couldn't feel that stove, though.
Big Mama couldn't feel it. Right. That's because Big
No,
Mama,
this is a
because
joke.
she was poisoned by the Food and Drug Administration.
Right. She was poisoned by the Food and Drug
That's what it was.
Administration.
Because they had her with diabetes.
that sugar.
The
She had
sugar,
that
yeah.
sugar. Yeah. She had that sugar. What's some more comments to
Right.
say?
Having an impactful vote. Obama was a joke. I agree with that. So, but hold on. Let me add credence to that. Right. Obama's presidency, he was the president of the United States. So, in reference to the black community, Obama was not the black president, although we felt like he was the first black president.
He was.
Obama was the first president that was black.
He was the.
He was not the black
He
president.
was the Jackie Robinson
Right.
of politics.
Right.
Right. Because in reality, right.
So where is the next? Why did that stop?
Why did it
That's what
stop?
I'm saying. Why did that stop? Where's the next?
Obama.
Because we didn't put Obama in office. We with the collective put Obama in. Obama
So
had
where's the next
massive
one?
votes from everybody.
The collectives were.
So are we cloning Tyrone, or are we going to get somebody different?
I said we get somebody.
I mean, I agree.
From the moment he spoke
Where
to
he
me,
at?
I said, okay, he's not really black. I want
Obama?
a black president.
Right. So,
I
but
want two black
I don't
parents.
want to be the one that says that Obama wasn't black.
No, he
because
wasn't.
I don't necessarily agree with that. But he was not a representation of ADOS.
What did he do for us?
Right. But what could he do for us?
What you mean? He's the president.
Right. And how much power do they have?
They have enough. If you get enough, if you do some things, listen, I need y'all to come out and vote because I need to be able to do this.
So I see-
he didn't come out there and move anything.
I see it twofold, though, right? Because
Obamacare passed.
Look at what Trump did.
Right. He
Everything-
undid it. But it still passed.
So the twofold is the way that you continue to empower your community is give them health care, right? So Obama did provide health care for everyone who to have access to it.
They
Right,
taxed me
right.
crazy because I
So
don't have
when we start talking about 45,
That's fair.
45 inherited something that was already pre-built. Like
Right, he
I
did.
just had the conversation of what's in the pipeline for the next administration here in Chester. what's in the pipeline, right? Because what happens here is when you're in office, you set things up for the long ball, right? And then unfortunately, sometimes
you're thinking that way,
yeah, if you're thinking that way,
and that's what we need to start doing.
The next person comes and inherit what you had set up 3-4 years ago, right?
Or and America been on that type of time.
So what in this administration, what's down the pipeline?
Right.
I don't know, but when we start talking about 45, he had inherent everything that was already in the chamber.
Right. I agree with that.
So now it looks like when he's shooting these shots off that he can't miss because that was already set up, right? But what I think the misconstruedness coming, like I think when people get confused is that only thing that 45 really did was during a time of a crisis give access and funding to people.
Right, he did.
Like, so yeah, but
that
was
it also
during
resulted
the crisis.
in massive inflation.
You know what I'm saying?
But that was a crisis that they set up.
Yeah, it's a crisis they set up. So he provided us the funding, but he had to. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like there was any like, all right, so bang. All right, so now he did that, right? So if he gave black people or he gave the inner city or he gave poor folks so much opportunities for monies, where is it at now?
Right.
Because he didn't load the clip for Biden to spend it, right?
Right.
So what was set in the pipeline? Nothing.
Right.
He didn't.
I agree with that.
Only thing he said in the pipeline was the tax cut for the multimillionaires.
Right.
They have that.
And to undo a lot of the Obama administration era, right?
So
he gutted healthcare.
Yeah.
Right. He did. That's the reality of it. Right. Because Obamacare was a great piece of legislation for American people. Absolutely. In reality, right? Absolutely. And this is why I can't completely say Obama was trash. Because in reality, right, Obama, if they had not have gotten gutted the way he did, ensured that people who did not have access to healthcare did. That's huge, right? And for what it's worth, America's the only developed nation where we don't have healthcare, where healthcare is not
free
a right.
access to healthcare.
So he definitely moved us closer to the rest of the world on the way we take care of people, right? Which was a good thing, right? So I'm not going to take nothing away from that man. And then the second thing, the Dodd-Frank legislation protected the American economy. I don't listen. And if somebody disagrees, by all means, let's have another show. Like, come on, debate me, right? I got time, right? So what I'm not going to do is point the finger and act like Obama was completely trash, because I don't agree with that at all. But what I will say is that I think that we set him up to be our president, but he was the president of the United States, so we played ourselves.
One more thing he did do for us is take away that disproportionate cocaine crack numbers. Right. And that was something that really inherent that really destroyed our communities.
They about to change that right now.
Huh?
They're about to change that right now.
They about to change that back, right?
They're going to give it.
You see what I'm saying? So
right back.
So I give it twofold, but I give it twofold. He could have been better, but he did do some things that was significantly that really affected our community that changed some things. So
I agree.
Yeah, man.
I think that I agree, Antoine. I believe that a lot of this stuff had moves with setting up chess for the long term, worldwide control. I do agree with that.
You got to set it up for chess.
But I also believe that, like, at the end of the day, you got to play the cards that you dealt to you, right? And it's not like Obama was dealt an amazing hand where he could run the gamut and make change, right? Yeah. The reality is that 2 years into his presidency, the House flipped and the Senate flipped, and he was pretty much protested the rest of his presidency. That's the reality, right? So he had a contested presidency, and it was hard. But we well over an hour now.
We over an hour?
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, listen, I know, man. We had these conversations could take legs, man, and we try to stay on topic, man. When we get a little passionate, we just start going in.
For sure.
Know what I'm saying?
I think it was a great show, though.
But I do, and I thank our fans, man, for chiming in. Lean, Anton, Lamont, Stacy. Who else I'm missing? Miss Mayfield, Lean Mayfield. They was with us the entire ride, man.
We appreciate y'all.
We love
with
y'all,
us.
man. James, we love y'all for y'all support. Keep on sharing us. Keep on tuning in, man. We're gonna try to give you quality shows each and every time, and we're just gonna keep here for y'all, man, and continue to change that narrative, man. So my name is Malcolm Yates.
And my name is Andrew Nelson,
and we are The Narrative.
This is my heritage.